Marcus, how does something like this even happen if you're the Giants?
You give up 33 points in the fourth quarter. That's how something happens. And I know everybody is going to want to focus on the kicker and the extra points, and rightfully so. It's all a part of the game. But as a defense and the defensive staff, at some point you have to go win the game and force the issue. And that was my issue with the New York Giants. They tried to play it safe. They tried to play it like it was, well, they don't have a chance to come back.
You didn't like the three-man rush?
Mina, as we speak. Listen, this was the first thing I talked about. This is an end of the half 2-minute situation where you rush for. The bulk of your defense is in your defensive line. You get to the quarterback and you drop him. You go 3-man rushing. All the time in the world for Bo Nix. His legs is also a problem.
Yeah.
A throwing window as big as the damn stadium, and you convert on a long yardage situation. And these are the situations, brother, I'm going to live by pressure. Like, if we get beat and somebody gives something up, I can deal with that. Now, everything is situational, but backed up on your side of the field, and we know that all you're playing for is field goal range, I'm going to pressure the quarterback, whether that's with 4, whether that's stunts in games, or even bringing an extra guy.
Yeah, it was a defensive collapse on the part of New York. And one of the things that struck me going back and watching Bo Nix and trying to figure out how he flipped a switch, they really didn't seem prepared for him using his legs in a way I found kind of surprising. The final 3 drives were the go-ahead drive. The first one, he has a huge scramble on 3rd down, then zone read for a touchdown. On the next drive, by the way, you saw R.J. Harvey wide open. Big part of the reason why he's wide open is because the Giants defenders overplayed Bo Nix on the naked. R.J. Harvey gets out. Then on the next drive, the sprint out touchdown, which we showed, I kept waiting for a linebacker to scrape over to follow him, but it felt like the Giants weren't really ready for that, and that surprised me because Bo Nix had the 3rd most rushing attempts of any quarterback in the NFL in the 4th quarter. That's a huge part of the reason why they were able to come back.
You know, once they get down, that's when we start to see those things. You saw that against the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, we see it here against the New York Giants, but you heard Brian Burns talk about the way the Denver Broncos executed, and the New York Giants simply did not. Think back to Vance Joseph and the blitz call, and now you have the dropper by Justin Strnad. He's right in the passing lane of the crosser, and then after the missed extra point, you get a dagger route. Now, it's an overthrow. It's better to be lucky than good, but you get the pass to Mims. And just like we saw against the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the plays they go to is they go to Cortland Sutton on Deontay Banks. We saw the exact same thing with Quinyon Mitchell late in that comeback against the Eagles. The Denver Broncos know who they are, but they seem to find that when they're down and behind late in game. Bo Nix's legs and then Cortland Sutton in one-on-ones has shown up time and time again.
It feels like sometimes they take on the personality of Sean Payton, too. Like, he's fiery down there. He's getting himself even flagged.
And I agree with that, RC, but they benefited off the fear of the New York Giants. The Giants look like a team that didn't expect to win the game. That's exactly how they played the rest of the way.
You guys, this is the second time, just the second time since the 1970 merger that a team has won after trailing by at least 18 in the final 6 minutes of the 4th quarter. I mean, why were things different for that Eagles offense?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is if you watch the game, which people don't, there was a concerted effort to put the football in Saquon Barkley's hands very early in these games. The first 3 or 4 plays of the games were handoff, but what I loved is it felt like they self-scouted over these last 10 days, much like we saw last year after the bye week. There was only 23 passes for Jalen Hurts, but they made sure that they were intentional about pushing the football down the field. You have this huge play here, a 70-plus yarder to Devontae Smith, where they attacked Isaiah Rodgers, someone they know extremely well from his time with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then you find a way to get the football in the seam. But the play to me is 3rd and 9. They knew they were going to get pressure from the defense of Brian Flores. And the play before, the side adjustment was a slant. You're playing against Isaiah Rodgers. You know he's going to sit his feet right at 10, and you hit him with the double moves. That's what it's supposed to be. Kevin Patullo said, this is how our team can advance and play better offensively. And I love the intentionality of the pass game, now pushing the ball down the field.
And I also love that Jalen was willing to take chances, but his pocket movement and manipulation to throw the football, I thought, was at a very high level. in this game. We know he can devastate people with his legs. This was the one for me. Him and AJ not on the same page. He realizes AJ has a linebacker on him. Get downfield, I'm going to push the ball down the field. They end up in the end zone. But this was about Jalen Hurts taking authority in the passing game and not just kind of living with a play not being there. Y'all know that Jalen on these type of plays, usually he's going to throw it out of bounds or he'll hit a little check down. He waited. He lingered because it was intentional, to your point, RC, for them to hit explosive plays. And I understand what Saquon is saying, and I get what he means by it doesn't matter who has the success. I fully agree with that. But don't you think for 1 minute the way that Jalen Hurts played didn't translate from a conversation of them being anemic down the field as an offense? They made an intentional attempt at that.
His superpower is throwing downfield. They have to lean into that like they did. Ryan, you talked about self-scouting and changing some of their tendencies. Something that we have watched so far this season is because defenses aren't really afraid of the run game, they're not facing as much single high as they used to. So one thing they did in this game to try to force defenses to respect it was something they haven't done all year, come out with the under center play action. 6 offensive linemen, only 2 reps all season long of 6 offensive linemen going into this game. They did it 9 times. The shot play, Devontae Smith, everything about what the Eagles said on that play was we are running the football, and then they did it. And Devontae ran a gorgeous route. They hit him again on another under center play action route with 6 offensive linemen on the field who had another in-breaker, deep dig, and the zone boy was there because of the play action. It was exciting to see something a little bit different from this Eagles offense, something they can build on going forward.
And I think that's what you have to do, though. That's what the good teams are, right? They find ways that if we have weaknesses, how do we minimize those and accentuate our strengths? And we saw Kevin Patullo finally figure that out in his first year as the OC.
And also understanding Brian Flores that you were going to get man a lot of times in this game and pressure as well.
To do it against a Brian Flores defense that is known for being exotic and doing all those things, even more impressive. Jalen Hurts, 326 pass yards, his most since 2022, week 13. It doesn't matter what the situation's been this season. Matthew Stafford has been throwing touchdowns. To Marcus's point, he leads the NFL overall with 17 touchdown passes through 7 games, and he also had the most touchdown passes against man coverage, against the blitz, on play action, and in the fourth quarter. Doesn't matter what you do, right?
MVP
He's only 3 shy of his total of touchdown passes from last season. Mina, what'd you like from the Rams yesterday?
Aside from the Devontae connection, which was huge, wanted to see if they would find a way to get their second-round draft pick Terrence Ferguson involved. And he hasn't played a lot so far this season, I think because of his blocking ability or lack thereof. Sean McVay said, cool, we're going to put 3 tight ends on the field. They played 13% on 40% of snaps. They split out Ferguson wide, and then they got him on the huge man beater downfield. He brings an explosive element to this tight ends group that doesn't exist amongst the other tight ends. Look for that to happen more.
Let's keep going around some great games from yesterday. Let's go to the Colts, improving to 6-1 with a 14-point road win over the Chargers. These Colts are for real, people, okay? Daniel Jones threw 2 touchdowns without a pick. Jonathan Taylor ran for 94 yards in a trio of touchdowns. And that's Taylor's 3rd 3-touchdown game this season, making him just the 4th player in NFL history with 3 games with at least 3 rushing touchdowns in their first 7 games of the season. Look at that. Jim Brown was the first in 1958. He went on to win MVP that year, by the way. The last 2 to do it, Priest Holmes and Derrick Henry, both suffered injuries, limiting them to 8 games that season. Marcus, is this offense sustainable for the Colts?
It absolutely is, because it starts with physicality at the line of scrimmage. Jonathan Taylor's burst, once he sees daylight, is elite. It's been elite, but we got away from that because this team struggled and the quarterback conversation took over what we would talk about with the Indianapolis Colts. And then this play from Daniel Jones is the telltale for me, right? You pushing the ball down the field with a lot of success, but on these pressures and the things that go on with DJ, he's not panicking anymore. I heard Dan talk about that. Even though those are misses, those were turnovers in New York. Those were fumbles in New York. Those were trying to hold on to the ball too long and making bad decisions, not taking care of the football. He's doing that. There was also another play where you get a free rusher on Daniel Jones. He breaks out to his right, nothing's downfield, he throws it into the 3rd row of the stands. That's the progression.
All right, more more on these Colts later on in the show today and also throughout the week because they've been fun to watch. Micah Parsons, by the way, had a career-high 3 sacks, and the Packers overcame an early 10-point deficit to beat the Kyler Murray-less Cardinals 27-23. They had Jacoby Brissett playing at quarterback. We've seen the impact, you guys, that Parsons has had on the Packers defense this season. Last season, they ranked 22nd in pressure percentage. This season, it's up to 3rd. And the Packers defense leads the NFL in net yards per pass attempts. That deducts sack yardage from pass yards, just if you're keeping track at home. RC, how did the Packers scheme up all that pressure?
Well, the first thing is Micah won every single one-on-one. Every time you didn't double him, you didn't chip him, he found a way to get to the quarterback and put pressure on Jacoby Brissett. But what I loved was Jeff Hafley didn't just rest in that. He was adding Quay Walker to the rush. We saw simulated pressures. He wasn't just saying to himself that Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons can win. He was schematically working his way to the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett. And I thought that played a huge role in how much pressure they were able to get throughout the day.
What do you make of this situation for Fields?
Well, what do you make of it is that in the last 2 weeks, they've played good enough defense to get wins, and they've been absolutely horrible offensively, and there needs to make a change. And it's not necessarily just about Justin Fields. It's about this entire operation. And when you look at the way that he's been holding on to the football and then missing open receivers when he does throw the football, it's just not professional, competent quarterback play. And if you are Aaron Glenn, you have to show that there is some sort of progression, whether it's on the offense or the team in totality, and you can't do that right now, it seems, with Justin Fields at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's like a group chat for coaches with bad quarterbacks. That's how he got into when he said he's been texting them. But to me, listening to him talk about it, it really illustrates how hard it is to go through a season not knowing that your quarterback's not on your roster. It's easy for us at the beginning of the season to say, cool, they're going to draft a guy next year, just build, this year and get through it. Easier said than done when you're not having competent quarterback play. I do not envy him.
Justin Fields is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's not good enough to be a starter. He shows at times explosiveness with his legs. He has those one-off, two-off games. In Pittsburgh last year, we were talking about should he be the starter for the remainder of the season. Gets to New York. I don't care about the situation. This iteration of Justin Fields has shown up at every stop he's been at. And I think it's time to move on from the fact that he can be a starting quarterback in this league. He hasn't proved that through his play.
As you see there, the Jets are now the favorite to get the #1 overall pick in the April draft. The interesting thing is that this quarterback class might not have been what we thought it was going to be, so something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, this quarterback class was catfishing. In the summer, they was catfishing.
That kid Simpson from Alabama looking solid, though.
That group chat of the coaches with the quarterbacks that are struggling, it's like Mike McDaniel, Aaron Glenn. Like I'm just imagining those guys going back and forth. Yeah, it's got to be out there. I mean, they looked good. Mina, why was the offense at its best yesterday?
They're just so balanced. And this is kind of what we thought it would look like when they traded for George Pickens, which is a defense. What do you do when there's 2 elite wide receivers on the field? Well, you play a lot of coverage. So you get a lot of light boxes, and Javonte Williams averaged 11 yards per carry running into light boxes. It's a joy to watch this Cowboys run game right now. They're not really adding extra bodies to the box. It's just the offensive line. It's mostly inside zone, but they're just removing guys at the line of scrimmage. And then because he's running into favorable looks, he's able to get chunk yards on the ground. Right now, the Cowboys offense gives you so many things to stop. It's a difficult problem for any defense, much less a defense like Detroit or Washington, that had struggled to stop the run.
The survey on Dak Prescott is when he has a run game, he's a cheat code. We've seen this before. This is how he actually became the starter in Dallas, by having a big physical offensive line, Zeke Elliott, and pushing the ball down the field and surprising people. I love the cachet that he's playing with, the confidence, moving the football around, not getting caught up in how many balls does CD need, how many does George Pickens need. Dak is like, I'm throwing it to the dude that's open, and the way the play is set up. But this run game, to me, it's the near and dear to my heart. Javonte Williams has kind of reemerged as the guy we thought he would be when the Denver Broncos drafted him. This is one of those examples of the big play after the George Pickens throw that you see Javonte Williams. But to your point, Mina, it's because of the light boxes. It's because of the threat of y'all hearing me hoop and holler about please go get another wide receiver since we started doing NFL Live together. And this is a manifestation of that. And I also want to give Schottenheimer a lot of credit. Dak only threw the ball 30 times in this game, and Javonte rushed it 19. It's a balanced offense. They are trying trying to establish both phases of this offense, and that's why they're having this amount of
And I know I'm
success.
supposed to get to this Commanders defense, but this was also like the most predictable matchup of the weekend that the Dallas Cowboys would have success. But to me, what was most disappointing was that when they were in position to make plays, they didn't, right? Marshawn Lattimore, time and time again on the deep ball, not being able to make a play, whether it's giving up the catch or a pass interference, that's never going to deter an offense from continuing to throw the football at you. And then opportunities to just make open field tackles. The one thing about this team is schematically, they are scratching and clawing and trying to find a way to be near the football. But when they are, it doesn't matter. And what I love about what Dak Prescott did is, like, I believe CeeDee Lamb missing games was a blessing in disguise because it gave him an opportunity to develop a rapport with George Pickens. Now we've seen Ferguson reemerge as a red zone threat, and you add CeeDee Lamb back into it, and he's right back to being an all-pro caliber wide receiver. Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level, and if they could get a little bit of defense, a little bit, they'll be difficult down the stretch.